Goals are for losers. Goals can be toxic. They eat you up from the inside. Goals make you unhappy. They restrict your happiness. These are 3 quotes by 3 famous people. Look them up. So obviously today's episode is about why goals are bad for you and what you should have instead.
Goals are bad for me. How? I mean, we are always told to have a clear goal in mind when doing anything. How can goals be bad?
Let's go through the list of problems with goals.
Okay.
So first, goals restrict your happiness, right? The problem is that most of the time you have a goal and you have not achieved your goal. So the goal is making you sad. Oh. And then one day you achieve the goal and you're very happy and you bask in that happiness for a couple of days and then you have a new goal. So your entire life is just about being unhappy at the goals you haven't achieved.
Okay, that's that.
There's another more serious problem with goals. Okay. I mean, I imagine you saying, oh, you have to have goals and that's how you get winners, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever realized that winners and losers usually have the same goals? Okay.
Ooh.
I mean, in the World Cup, right? There is one team saying, oh, I want to win the World Cup. The other teams didn't come there saying, I want to be number 3 or I want to be the last, right? Everybody wants to win. The goal didn't help them get there. Something else does.
Right? Yeah, winners and losers have the same goal is such a brilliant statement.
So that sentence is from James Clear. In fact, a lot of the concepts for this episode are from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. On this channel, we talk a lot about atomic habits. We are big fans. So this is the first in the series of episodes about pieces from Atomic Habits, right?
Yeah.
It is goals versus systems. But let's continue talking about the problems with goals.
Yes,
right?
please.
So a third problem with goals is that they suffer from Goodhart's law. We have done an entire episode on it. You should check it out. It is really funny.
Yeah.
But the basic idea with Goodhart's law is that when you have a number as a goal, now you have an incentive to cheat on that number, right? So if losing weight means, oh, okay, my goal is that I have to hit 66 kg, right? Then you will lose weight by doing ridiculous things, like really bad things to your body, and you might end up actually becoming unhealthy. I've known a lot of people like that, right?
Yes, that entire zero-figure fad that happened a few years ago, well, nearly a decade ago, was essentially unhealthy habits, unhealthy diets and whatnot.
And the fourth problem with a goal is that achieving a goal is only a temporary change, right? You achieved a goal, now what?
Oh, as in you immediately start thinking about the next goal you want to achieve.
That is if you're lucky.
Okay.
A lot of people, as soon as they achieve the goal, they start celebrating and very soon they've forgotten about everything, right? You hit 66 kg weight, you celebrate and 3 months later you're back at 74, right? You know people like this, don't you?
You know people like this, believe me. That's me he's talking about. I didn't reach 66, but close enough. But anyway, so if not goals, then what's the answer?
Systems, okay? Goals is where you want to reach, right? Whereas a system is how to get there. What do you do every day to get there, okay? Let me give examples. If you are a sports coach, your goal is to make the team win the championship.
Right.
Your system is what are your practice methods? How do you motivate the players? How do you set discipline in the team?
Right.
Things you do every day. That's your system.
Correct.
If you are an entrepreneur, right? You start a business. Your goal might be to create $1 million business.
Right? Yes.
Your system is how do you come up with product ideas? How do you test which product ideas are good? What system do you have for hiring the right kind of people? And what system do you have for firing the wrong people?
The ops basically around the business.
Correct. And ultimately, the systems have to be designed such that they are taking you towards the goal. But the focus should be on the system, not on the goal.
Fair enough.
For a musician, playing a new difficult piece on the guitar might be the goal. The system is how often you practice, how do you break down the difficult piece into parts that can be tackled separately, what are the skills you practice, and things like that.
I'm getting the general drift of things. Systems is basically actions that you do in pursuit of the goal, so to speak. But then, how I understand the importance of systems. How are systems better than goals?
So, first of all, to understand that systems are really better than goal, right? Think about which is better. You have a goal without a system, and you will get nowhere. Right? Lots of people I know are in that category.
Yeah, like people who want to lose 10 kilos but don't really have a plan to do it.
Yes. On the other hand, if you have a system without goals, you might still get somewhere. Right? Clearly, systems are better than goals. But why? Right? Let's try to understand why. So, Bill Walsh, famous football coach, right? He said that concentrate on what will produce results rather than the results themselves. Right?
That sounds familiar.
Concentrate on the process rather than the prize, and the score takes care of itself.
That sounds very familiar.
Yes, because Bill Walsh has written a book called The Score Takes Care of Itself.
I thought you would say Bill Walsh has written something similar to the Bhagavad Gita and he would go into Karmanyevadikaraste.
Yes, so Karmanyevadikaraste, it's a favorite shlok of ours, and you're right, Bill Walsh is basically saying Karmanyevadikaraste, just like some of the greatest people in the world all pretty much paraphrase Karmanyevadikaraste in their own words, right?
There's a great thread on Twitter/X on Karmanyevadikaraste. We'll link it in the show notes in the description.
We already talked about the fact that winners and losers have the same goals, right?
Yeah.
Winners and losers will not have the same systems. If you look at the systems, the winners will have better systems, right? And processes. So that is important. And keep in mind that when you have a goal, achieving that goal is not something you can control, right? There is luck, there is probability, there is competition, all kinds of things. But when you have a system, sticking to that system is under your control, right? And one thing we like to say on this channel is stick to your circle of competence. Stick to things you can control and give up on the things you cannot control. Right?
Another episode we've done, Circle of Competence. We'll link it.
But also keep in mind that goals are like in the distant future, systems are today, right? And our brain is a today brain, okay? This whole future thing just doesn't work.
Yeah, unless you're reading horoscopes, in which case for some reason you immediately start imagining rosy pictures of the future.
But we said goals make you unhappy, right? Because at any given time, you're permanently in a state of not having achieved a goal, right? With systems, you usually are in a state of permanent achievement. Every day, at the end of the day, if you stuck to your system, you feel good about yourself. In fact, your brain gives you a little dopamine rush every time you, complete a mini task in your system. If you had a goal of hitting 66 kg, that success you would probably achieve once in probably last 5 years. Whereas intermittent fasting, hitting 16 hours, you achieve every day or at least 4 days a week, right?
Absolutely.
And that's good, right?
Totally. So that's one example of how utilizing systems applies in day-to-day life. The examples that the reason I'm saying that is the examples that I've been giving so far are lofty ambition examples, like musician or sports person.
You want examples that apply to normal people like you, me, and our listeners, right? Yes. So simple, right? Losing 10 kg is a goal, right? Exercising 30 minutes every day, 16-hour fast every day, eating zero junk food every weekday, right? Things like that. Those are systems, right? Getting a better job is a goal.
True.
But improving your networking is a system. Daily LinkedIn activity is a system, right? Applying for jobs is a system. In fact, how to apply for jobs is like an entire episode in itself, right?
Which I'm going to make him do, don't worry.
And the thing to keep in mind with goals versus system is the fact that when everything is going fine, it's great. Goals motivate you and all of that, right? But when things go bad, what happens, right? In theory, we feel that our goal will motivate us and it will pull us out of our slump, right? In reality, that doesn't happen. In reality, we do not rise to our goals, we fall to the level of our systems, right? If you had a daily system,
Yeah.
in bad times, you just stick to your system. You don't know whether this is going to work or not, but you stick to it, and that keeps you at your minimum level of achievement. Whereas rising to your level of your goals means, oh, I'm going to do that. On bad days, you can't.
Yeah, that's actually a very powerful way to both visualize it and understand it. You rise to the level of your goals, which you can't do every single time because that takes a lot of effort, and you fall to the level of your systems, which is basically, well, you fall, gravity. So if you have like a system to get down to, then it's always great. So, okay, you've convinced me about the power of systems. How do you start creating systems?
So, start with your goal. I'm not saying goals are really bad, right?
Okay.
Start with a goal, break it into sub goals, right? Then break it even into finer pieces. And for each one, ask yourself, what do I have to do every day to complete this sub goal?
Let's take the example of weight loss that we've been carrying out of 10 kilos weight loss in say 3 months, 6 months, whatever time.
So one sub goal would be to eat less. Okay. Another sub goal would be to eat healthier. A third sub goal would be to exercise.
Yes.
So eat less. Then you can come up with a system where you are counting your calories, right? Maybe it involves using an app for calorie counting. Maybe it involves just saying that I will buy smaller plates in the house. There is research which shows that if your plate is smaller, you take less and you eat less. Okay.
Now I get why all you can eat buffets have really small plates. That explains it.
Then for eating healthier, right? You could have goals like you will have salads every day, right? You will not eat desserts more than once a week, things like that, right? Or you will replace all the meat in your diet with tofu, right? And so on for every sub goal.
For exercise also, instead of saying you will bench press X kgs, you say I will bench press for 30 minutes every day.
Right. In fact, other techniques are also saying that don't even put 30 minutes. 30 minutes as a goal. I will bench press every day. Right? The 30 minutes will take care of itself over time.
Yeah.
So, the other part of the system is that it should specify details of how. Not what you are going to achieve, but what you are going to do.
So like,
right?
Specifying that you will bench press every day. That is the how.
No, not just that. You should specify what you will do, where you will do, at what time will you do it, and how will you do it, right?
Okay.
Right? So you will say something like that I will go to the gym at 7:30 tomorrow. You should already know which gym you are going to, and then you are going to bench press there.
Right.
So all 4 details have to be there. Again, James Clear's book has examples showing research where people who just vaguely said I will exercise versus people who said I will exercise at 7:30 tomorrow by going to multi-fit gym and by doing bench press, right? Those guys achieved much more and they stuck to the system also for much longer.
Multifit being a random name for a gym, we are not sponsored by them.
But if you want to sponsor, we are happy to.
Always happy to take sponsorship.
Not only should all those details be there, you should also anticipate problems, what can go wrong, and prepare for that, right? That, oh, I will not wake up at 6:45, then I will not reach the gym by 7:30. So what do? Put an alarm. Oh, I will just turn off the alarm. Then what do? Put 2 alarms, the second one 5 minutes later, and so on, right? Or
I can feel the judgy gazes of people suffering with ADHD.
no, also, or you get a friend who also is going to go to the gym with you, and now not only are you going to disappoint yourself, but you're going to disappoint your friend if you don't show up at 7:30, and that's a more powerful motivator. Disappointing yourself is like you do every day, right? So 6 times before breakfast. So
That hurts, Naveen. That hurts.
So
no, but
I
let me come
anticipate-
to the good stuff.
Please.
The good stuff is the system should be sustainable,
Right.
right? Don't start with I am going to bench press for 30 minutes because you cannot.
I cannot.
Okay. I mean, you can for 3 days. After that, you will just give up.
No, after that, I'll be in bed for 3 days.
Right, exactly. No, it should be simple, bare minimum. I will go to the gym and come back. You don't even have to do anything.
Really?
Yes. Because see what's going to happen. You go to the gym, you're going to do something. Right? And anything you do is bonus. Because your goal was only to show up
Goal
there.
isn't just the part of the system.
It's part of the system. Right? Or it is like I will take the lightest weight and I will do 10 of those reps. That's it. Right? Once you have done that for enough time and it has become automatic for your body, right? So that seems no longer seems like an effort. Then you can up it, right? So now you can say, well, I'm going to increase the weight. And every time you make some change like this, give your body and your brain time to adjust to that change, right? And I can imagine you thinking that, oh, that's going to take forever, right? And yes, we have an episode which points out that do not make 1-year plans, make 10-year plans, right? 1-year plans fail because you have very high expectations of yourself and what you can achieve in 1 year, and those are not, you are not going to be able to meet them. But you also have very low expectations of what you can achieve in 10 years if you just stick to a stupid little low quality system, right? It turns out that just sticking with it for 10 years, you will be amazed at how much you will achieve.
Continuous improvement as well.
Compounding.
Yeah.
Yes. So one more thing, the system is that daily is easier, right? Doing something daily is easier, same time, same place, same thing, right?
Like setting a habit, setting a routine.
And weekly is also manageable if there are things in your routines where there are something that happens only on a Monday, that's also fine. But you can't do something random like every 4 days or something like that, because then there are 3 days in the middle, right? You don't do it, so it never becomes a habit. You want to make it a habit. Over time, you want your body to just automatically do these things, right? Because when my son was born, he would wake up at 5:50 a.m. every day, like without fail that time, right? And this just went on for so long that even now he's like been out of the house for a long time, but I wake up at 5:50, right? Still, our body gets used to it. So
Yeah, that's what habits do to you. Again, people with ADHD, I completely understand. Never mind.
Yeah.
Ha.
just a couple more things, right? Although I said that it should be sustainable and just start with the minimum thing. But yes, what you should do is after it has settled down and it has become routine, then you should be improving it, right? Continuous improvement.
Correct.
The consistency and continuous improvement is important. The speed is not important. You don't want improvements every day.
Correct.
Once in 2 weeks, once a month improvement is good enough. Right?
Whatever, but just don't stay at one level, go up a notch every time.
Possible, get someone else to
Not
tell you what needs to change. You are not the best person to check what needs improvement.
Yeah, like having a mentor is always useful. We've discussed this in
Deliberate practice. So that's one more thing. And finally, although we've been saying goals are bad, but reality is that they're not that bad, right? Goals are good. I mean, goals are what tell you what systems to follow.
implement, yeah.
So every once in a while, you should revisit your goal. Things can change, right? One is that the world has changed and that goal no longer makes sense.
Correct.
So if you change the goal, then maybe the system might have to change. Another thing is that while you are following some system, you might notice that some things you are much better at than you thought, or some things you're just not being able to do at all. So depending on that, you can adjust your goal, right? So that's another thing about the goal, as in don't fall in love with a goal. You have your goals be a little malleable, so you can change the goals every once in a while, revisit the goals and then change the system.
never a risk with me. I have very few goals and I don't fall in love with them.
Another good quote that I want to end with
Please.
is that it is only when you make the process your goal that the big dream can follow. Right? So goals are good as long as your goal is, I will follow my process. That was said by Oprah Winfrey.
Okay.
Yes.
Quite a circular one, that one, making process the goal, but it makes sense when you think about it. And that is what we encourage you to do with this channel, with this series. Think about it. Shrikant, Naveen, Future IQ.